Hey guys, my name is Alycia Burton and you might know me off the internet for jumping really big jumps without a saddle and without a bridle on my best friend Goldrush. I'm originally from New Zealand. I've traveled throughout New Zealand, Australia, and I'm now in Colorado Springs, America. What a lot of you don't know is that for the past 10 years or maybe longer, I have been doing a significant amount of work with young people. My heart and my passion is youth. It's not foremost in the horse world, although that's really where I've spent so much of my time. And every year I have anywhere from 100 to 150 young people come through my program. We do programs that are 3 days long, 5 days long, 7 days long, and sometimes we have people fly in for a month or longer. The highest age group I would say that comes would be 11 to 20 years old, but we do have a lot of young adults coming through anywhere from 18 to 30 as well, and I'm going to be extending those age groups out as we go on with my tour in the US and giving specific information and tools to those age groups, really depending on what they've got going on. So this morning I'm sitting down and I'm filming a couple of my sessions that I would normally be doing in my youth retreats or in my day seminars. I do a lot of that as well, where people will come in. We're talking about horses, we're talking about life and how to find your dreams and follow them and chase them, and the reality of it, because the truth is no one shares all their crap stories. We look online and everyone's life looks perfect who's made it. But what we don't realize is that all of the beautiful photos and the video footage and the makeup and the special effects, we're portraying our life, those best pieces, like it was 98% of our life. But in reality, it's really only our best 2%. And then when young people, and not just young people, but adults as well, we're going online and we're looking at this content and we're comparing it to our own life with our own difficulties, and we're like, hey, there must be something wrong with me because my life doesn't look like that. So when people come to my events, and I made myself a promise a long time ago that I would share my failures, I would share the reality, I would really share what goes on, because no one did that for me. And for so long, I thought that there was something wrong with me because it was so hard trying to follow my dreams and make it. And all of these unexpected storms kept on coming my way. And I thought it was just me, and it wasn't. And that's part of the journey. And I want to share with you. And I have a bunch of like a bunch of flowers, and they are like flowers, they're beautiful. I have a bunch of young girls sitting around the table with me today, and we're going to be going over some of this stuff because I dedicated my life to working for young people a number of years ago, because I would have done anything to hear the truth and to have a mentor that understood what it was like, especially coming up, like growing up from the wrong background to be making it in the horse world. And I really am a Cinderella story. I come from no money. All of my horses have been cheap or next to nothing. Like, I've had hundreds of horses, but the average cost of each one of those horses has been less than $500. And Goldrush, he cost me nothing. So people don't get to see that side of the backstory. And I only really advertise my horse stuff online. And for a number of years, I felt it on my heart to actually get stories out and to get more of this mentoring out. But the hard part about that is when I'm running my youth camps and when I'm running these sessions, it's people's real life that we're dealing with. And I can't just go say, hey, this is Susie, like she's in foster care and she's a wreck, just like most of us really, or she has problems, so that's why I've got some wonderful young friends back who have been through my program, and we're just going to go through and talk about some of the things that I would normally talk about when we have youth here. So if you're interested in any of my youth events or my seminars, or you want to bring me to your area, I do a lot of traveling, and really this is my heart. And I know it can be financially difficult for a lot of people. It was for me growing up, almost impossible. So that's why I do most of my stuff for next to nothing. I give away thousands of free tickets every year to youth-based organizations and foster care and stuff like that. So anyway, enjoy. So this morning, girls, we're going to be talking about finding our purpose. And I remember growing up at school, I wasn't there long. I left when I was 15. And I left because I had no purpose. And I felt like I was wasting every day that I went to school because I didn't know what I wanted to do. And it wasn't because I was stupid, although I felt stupid. Because when we sat down in careers class, or what they called a careers class, or we'd sit down at lunchtime and people would be talking about their future and about their dreams, I was one of those people that were like, I have no idea what I want to do. And when you get to 15, 16, 17, 18, if you didn't know what you wanted to do and you haven't chosen the right classes at school to get that university degree, well, you're really in trouble. And for me, I did not know what subjects to take. I just felt aimless. And I remember having a couple of discussions with the careers advisor at the time at my school. And people were going off to universities and doing introduction days, and they were going off on work experience because they 100% knew what they wanted to do in life. And like, I just felt like a total flake. So I sat down with this guy, and I remember him saying, "What do you like to do?" And he knew I rode horses and I was really competitive when I was younger. And he said, well, you could go and work at a racetrack. And that was it. There was no guide on how to go there or how to try it. And I already knew that that was a no-go for me. One, because I had seen how those workers had often got treated, and I did not want to be one of those people. I knew it was an industry that there were a lot of drugs and a lot of issues, and quite frankly, there was no racetrack around me. And when I'm saying these things, I'm not trying to generalize the racing industry. It was around the towns and the cities where I grew up, and that was first-hand information from people in that industry. And we've got to be careful that we don't put a blanket over any type of industry, because although I don't particularly or personally agree with racing myself, and it's not something that I would get into, I know some of those owners, they look after their horses better than they would look after themselves, and they have really great lives. So we never want to get down a one-way street or tunnel vision that racing horses is bad, or shoes are bad, or barefoot is bad, or bitless is bad. I'm never trying to tell anyone anything is bad. What I'm trying to uncover for you is what is right for you, and what are your passions, what are your strengths, because at the end of the day, you're going to spend most of your time at work. And I can't tell you how many people that I come across and they hate their job. They feel horrific getting up in the morning. The thought of going to work sometimes makes them feel sick. And I don't want that life for me. And yeah, it was hard. So anyway, I spent most of my life drifting from job to job. I left home when I was 15. I was very, very fortunate that I got a job in the banking industry and postal industry and insurance industry. And there's a really cool story about that. They didn't know how old I was. So attitude is really important, and so are first impressions. But at least I had a good job. And I've had maybe 17 to 20 different jobs before I actually found out what my purpose in life was. But I remember I never felt right doing them. Although I got experience from them, there was something in me that just felt like I was a failure and that I was going to be a drifter my whole life, because I was someone who didn't know what I wanted from life. And that really sucked. I knew I wanted to ride horses, but that doesn't pay the bills. Like, I can't just go and start riding horses. How is that going to happen? And by the way, I do have a full talk on how to make money in the horse world, how to see the unexpected storms on the horizon that might come. And these are the things that people aren't aware of when they go self-employed or they go working for someone else, and they weren't prepared for them. They come along and they say, and if they say it, it must be right because it's on the internet, yeah, that 95% of businesses fail within the first 2 years. And of that 5% that make it through those first few years, there's again a huge big drop off after that. And I don't want anyone to go through that. So I'm going to be going through how you make money in the horse world, how you can get money when you're young, especially in the horse world, if you want to pay off your own horse or pay for your adjustment, grazing, lessons, everything from pony parties to clipping to trimming horses, breaking, selling, buying, giving lessons, adjustment, you name it, I'm going to go through it. And it works for, the principles can cross over into a lot of different industries. It's not just for horse training. So I will put that video out at some point. Go and look for it. It'll be called something like Making Money in the Horse World or How to Become Self-Employed. So really what I'm interested in, girls, is teaching you how to find your purpose. How do you find your keys? Basically, a car is useless if it doesn't have keys. And there are other components that we need to make that car work. We need fuel, we need good tires, it needs to be mechanically sound, and then we need to know how to drive it. But if you don't have those keys, you can't even get in it. And I want you to think of your car as the vessel that's going to drive you to your future. It's going to get you on your way. So if you've ever lost your car keys, and it's a cool analogy, you don't just sit there saying, well, I don't know where my car keys are, I'm not going to look for them. But that's what we do in life when we're sitting there and we don't have our purpose. We don't know where to look. We are just sitting there saying, well, one day maybe my purpose will just happen. It won't. It won't just fall into your lap. Just like sitting there on the couch watching TV, you're not going to magically have car keys just fall into your lap, okay? You have to go looking for them. And you need to learn to live a life on purpose, and you need to try and find your purpose on purpose. So here's what we'd do. We'd go, oh, I don't know where my car keys are. I'm going to get up and do something about it. You're going to go and look in the cupboard. You're going to go and look in the freezer. I can't tell you how many dumb things I've left in the freezer because I've gone looking for ice cream. And I've like had my keys and then, oh, that's like the ice cream's down in the bottom of the freezer, so I have to move stuff. And without thinking, I put the keys down and I forget them. Or my hairbrush or the TV remote. I want you to go look in the refrigerator. I want you to go look in the kitty litter and the washing machine, under the couch, down things. I want you to go and explore every option you can possibly think of. Now here's the thing. If I said to you, have you looked in the freezer? You'd look at me like I'm stupid. Well, why would it be in there? And so when I sit down with young people and I talk to them about possible different ideas they can do with their future, and I say, have you thought about maybe working in an old folks home? They look at me and they say, that's stupid. It's an old folks home. And my question is, have you looked there? Because until you've looked there, you don't actually know if it's there or not. And I know for me, I've said before that I don't like a certain food and I've never tried it. And then I've tried it only to find out that I absolutely loved it. And so we're going to find one of two things when we actually go and look there. And it will take a little bit of time, but at least we can cross it off our list. We find A, it's not in there and we never have to look again. Okay, we can cross looking in the cupboard or looking in the Terrier's bowl off our list. Or we might find, it was an unlikely place, but I actually found it, and now we've got our keys and we can go and get into our car and we can learn how to actually go down the road of our dreams and our journey, and it's a beautiful journey and it's a beautiful trip. So what I say to young people is, if you're trying to find what you should be doing with your future, especially before you go to university, oh my gosh, unless you are 100% on what you want to do in life, like you've known for years and it flows through your blood that you want to be a doctor or you want to be a teacher or you want to be a lawyer or a mathematician or a librarian, if you have any uncertainty, don't go and sign up for that course. Because here's the thing, who's brought something online before only to find that when you get it, you're like, that's the wrong color and it's tiny, that won't fit me. If I had been able to try that item on before I purchased that item, I never would have got it in the first place. I would have saved my money, I would have saved my time, and that's like university as well. How many people sign up for a course thinking that they're going to love it, only to drop out 3 months later, half a year later, a year later, or 2 years in? Or maybe they finish it, but they never actually use it. And now they have a big student debt behind them. And if they had been able to try it before they brought it, they could have saved themselves all that time and all that hassle. And what we're really looking for when we find something that we do kind of like is, am I in love with it, or am I in love with the idea of it? Because they are two very different things. When we're in love with something, there's a big difference. We'll get through the hard times. And so when the courses at university get hard, when the job hours get long, when it's physically difficult, when you have to sacrifice financially, and I'm going to be talking about those different sacrifices coming up later. When you're in love with it, it'll be worth it and you won't quit. But when you're in love with the idea of it, what happens is when that job gets hard, when that relationship gets hard, when that horse gets hard, when that course gets hard, when the study hours are getting to 2 o'clock in the morning, or you don't like the teacher, or there's big segments that you don't like, what will happen is that you're going to quit and you're going to walk away because you are only in love with the idea of it. And it's my goal with my life to try and help you find what you're in love with. So here's what we're going to do. We're not going to have guesswork. We're going to try before you buy. So what I would say is we're going to write down 20 different random places that we could go and look. And so often the reply from people that come, fellow humans that come to my youth retreats will be, I like animals. And I like horses, and that's kind of about it. And they might have a few ideas, like they want to be a veterinarian, or they want to go and like rescue mustangs for a living, that type of stuff. But it's just ideas based on the fact that they like animals. So I'm going to say, great, we're going to get a bit diverse, even if you think you're going to hate it, because we know we've done that with food before, only to find that we loved it when we tried it. We are going to try it to see if we actually like it or not. So I would say we're going to write down all of our favorite things first. Being a vet, maybe being a vet tech. That's the person that helps the veterinarian out without the huge degree and without the huge student loan. We could write down working in an old folks home, working in a library, working in a cafe, working on a stud farm. Maybe you're interested in breeding. Maybe you're interested in running events. So you could write down event management for a horse center or a wedding center. Maybe you could write down cleaner. And I don't care what people do for a job. Like if your passion is to be a janitor, you could be the best gosh darn janitor you can be. All I care about is that you're living a life on purpose, because every single one of us we were born with seeds inside of us. Seeds of hope and dreams and passion, and we were born with seeds of talent. Okay, because it doesn't matter how much I love the idea of being on American Idol and being a world famous singer. It doesn't matter how much I love that. I'm never going to be that because I have no talent for it. And so I want to be realistic with young people as well, that if you don't have talent for it, it is going to be incredibly difficult, not impossible, but difficult when it comes to certain job sets. Okay, example, being a world famous singer, being a world famous free rider or event rider. If you're terrified of jumping and you want to be a Grand Prix show jumper, I would say you're going to have a really hard job. Maybe we can look at something else. It's not impossible, but it's probably difficult. So we're going to write down all these different ideas. And I haven't worked it out for America, but I believe when I was in Australia, y'all had, I'm learning American with y'all had like 12 weeks a year off. That is a long time. And you can start when you're 14, you can start when you're 15. And the beautiful thing about a journey, girls, you can have it mapped out, but it's okay to change your direction. I don't ever want you to think that I chose at 14 I was going to be a vet, and so I can't ever go off that path. Don't ever be afraid to go and try new things. And to listen to your intuition. I'm doing something completely different than I was doing 5 years ago. I'm doing something completely different than I was doing 4 years ago. If you had have said to me, Alycia, you're going to be traveling Australia and then traveling America and then youth speaking and getting invited to all of these different events and things, and you would leave your whole life behind on a one-way ticket to America, I would have laughed at you. And so we have to be flexible to actually be able to move with life as we mature and as we change and as we discover more about who we are as an individual. And that comes through experience. So don't think that you're a failure if you ever start something and decide that it's not for you anymore. And different seasons bring different dreams as well. And that's the exciting thing about life. There's so much to experience. So how are we going to experience these things? It's actually called the power of free. And I talk about the power of free a lot because it is highly underestimated and it is highly undervalued. And we do also have a generation coming through, unfortunately, that does have a lot of entitlement mentality. And that entitlement mentality is, I deserve more and I'm owed more. So the power of free really is that we are giving our time and we are giving our full attention to someone for free in the return for experience and in the return for information. And it is the most wonderful exchange of time and value that will save you a lot of heartache. It will save you, you're investing into yourself and it will pay off later on. A little bit of time now for a huge amount of knowledge and possibly not going down the wrong path in life. So we're going to go to the local vet clinic and we're going to walk in there personally. I don't want people to write CVs out and just send them in the mail, because what's going to happen is this. They're going to put it in file 31. They're going to go, oh, a young person that tells me they're passionate about life and about learning and they want my time. And that's what they're going to do with your CV. You know why? Because there's a couple of hundred other people just like you. When you mail things in, it doesn't tell them that you're serious. It doesn't tell them that you're passionate. And action speaks so much louder than words, okay? You want to be that person that gets that opportunity. So you take your CV in, if you've got one, and you go and meet with the owner or the manager personally. Hi, my name's Alycia Burton. Can I speak to the owner, please? If they say no at the front desk, just ask them, well, hey, that's fine. Could you please tell me when they'll be back again? Or can I make an appointment to speak with them? Even more so, you could ring up and make an appointment first. But again, that allows them to kind of say no. If they're in the office at that time, and you're given that few minutes, they're more likely to say yes. Hello, sir. My name is Alycia Burton. I'm actually looking at the possibility of becoming a vet. And as you know, it is a very big degree. It is a very big sacrifice, not only on time, but on money as well. And it's an emotional sacrifice too. You can't see your friends as much. It's going to impact your relationships, your family, your horse riding time, your other hobbies that you do. And what I would really love from you, if you would allow it, is for me to come and be a fly on the wall. What I don't want to do, sir, is I don't want to invest into a future only to find out that I'm not in love with it. I was only in love with the idea of it. What I'd like to come and do is to come and sweep your floors, clean out all of your cages, pick up after your surgery. I will do any and every job. I will wash your windows. I will clean your toilets. I will be there before you need me to be there, and I will stay there as long as it takes. If you get called at 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm there for an emergency surgery, whatever it is. Basically, I'm desperate, and don't ever be afraid of that word. Desperation will cause you to go to places that you never would have gone if you were not desperate, okay? People view desperation as a bad thing. I can't tell you how many times being desperate, all right, gave me the motivation to actually step out into the extraordinary, into the unknown, into the scary deep. And I tell you what, it's paid off. It's what we do in our desperation, okay? Use it as a motivator. Don't use it as something that's going to set you backwards. And I don't know too many people, especially in that type of industry, that would turn around and tell you no, all right? I really don't, because most of the time, if someone's in a job where it's a serving job, so a veterinarian, really normally their hearts are really, really great. I've only met a few vets that made me wonder, where's your compassion or your empathy or any do you have a pulse? Okay, they weren't very nice. Most of them are loving, kind, caring people, and they want to see the next generation succeed. And I would say that most of them would have wished that they could have gone back themselves and asked some of those questions. And if they do say no, great, go and find another way, find another vet to go to, find another centre. Don't just wipe it off your list, find another way. Don't let that no discourage you, okay? You can sit down and ask them questions like, what are the 5 top questions? What are the 3 top questions? What is the biggest thing that no one warned you about? What is the biggest thing that you wished you could have got told of how hard the job would be? And they might say, well, Alycia, I love animals and I came into this job to help them. But what I wasn't warned of, and what has destroyed my heart so much, or has made it really, really hard, because they are in one of the most difficult jobs, it's a very difficult profession, is I wasn't prepared for the neglect that would come in. People that would come in with a starving dog, or it needs treatment, or maybe their intentions are really, really good, like they have an old animal that really needs to be put down and they won't give it the proper care. Or maybe they'll get patched up this time, but you know they're going back into an environment where that animal, their horse, the dog, the cat, the guinea pig, the goldfish, whatever it is struggling. And to be helpless in that way when we've gone into the job to try and help, that can be really difficult. And then maybe, Alycia, I wasn't prepared for owning my own practice when everyone that comes to me tries to get the work for free and I'm struggling to pay my bills. Or maybe I wasn't prepared for the pressure that it would put on my marriage or my children because I'm always gone. So these are the things that we need to look at, because they are unexpected storms that will come our way, and if we're not prepared for them, they can actually wipe us out. Or maybe they might say, hey, you know what, I came into this job thinking that it was going to be so hard, that I would be putting lots of animals down and cutting lots of animals open, and you know what, it is so much better than I thought it was ever going to be. Because I know that when these people leave my office, they're leaving and their animal's better, and I've made their day better, and I've been able to help them out because we have the technology and the knowledge and the tools to do it. So basically we're asking for inside knowledge. And when you do it, because this is really, really important, I've had a number of young people contact me back saying, hey Alycia, I went and I did that free work experience and I said that I was going to go for 2 weeks. Because really a day is not enough. You need to actually invest some time. And what you're doing is you're investing into your own future, by the way. 2 weeks is nothing. And I would split that whole year up and your holidays to go and try these different things. Take a whole year of holidays to go and do this, you know, and it really depends, how much do you want to be successful? How much do you want to live a life on purpose? How much do you want to love your job? But if you commit 2 weeks, and you find out on the first day that you absolutely hate it, you're like, oh, I found my answer. It's not in that cupboard. I'm not in love with it, and I'm not even in love with the idea of it. I'm out of here. No, you don't. Because you committed 2 weeks. You told someone, all right, that you would be there for that 2 week period. You need to be someone who means what they say and says what they mean, because it's about keeping our integrity. All right, be someone that when you give your word, it means something, even if you know you're not going to invest in it. Because I tell you what, you will learn other things from that job, even if it's not the job that you want to be in. Let's say you go to a cafe and you're wanting to know about barista work and making coffees and serving tables because you thought that would be the dream job. And after day 1, you're like, I hate this. You stick there. Because you're going to learn about customer service. You're going to learn about work ethic. And you know what? If you keep quitting out on people when you gave them your word, if you say you're going to be there, you be there. And you be there on time with a great attitude. I don't care how much you hate it. You're teaching yourself work ethic, all right? And you're really deciding who you're going to be in life. Are you going to be someone that's trustworthy? And that is honorable? Because I tell you what, the amount of people that will commit to 2 weeks and then just leave, and that boss is like, well, why should I ever give that opportunity again? Because not only Are you destroying it for yourself? All right. And you are not learning the lessons that you could have learned from that job, because there are lessons to be learned everywhere. And the biggest lessons are learned in places that we don't want to be. Our biggest lessons are learned in places we don't want to be. Okay. Don't ever underestimate the value of that. But you're going to ruin it for other people. So the next, say Sarah comes in and she says that she's going to be this person that shows up on time with a great attitude and she wants to learn, and after a day she doesn't come back. Okay. And then Hannah comes in a couple of weeks later and that boss is like, no way. I'm not going out of my way again. Get out of here. And so just be someone that says what they mean and means what they say. So here's the thing. At the end of the year, you've now had a huge amount of experience, and it could be 5 days, it could be 3 days, it could be a week, 2 weeks, I don't care. Just go and try a lot of different things, because you might find that working in an old folks home that you thought was going to be terrible, why could that be terrible? Well, maybe if you're working in a dementia unit, all right, you don't want to have to repeat who you are every single day and have them not remember conversations. Or maybe you find out after going there that you absolutely love it, because every day you can be a new person. Today I'm a pirate. Yesterday I was in World War II. And I mean, don't do that to old people, but I'm giving you an example. But you're going to find what you're in love with, and you're going to find what you're in love with the idea of. And really, that's it. It took me a lot of years to find out what I was in love with. And I didn't even know that it was under my nose the whole time, because from a very young age, when I was 11, I started breaking in ponies. And I know that sounds very young, but I had a natural gifting for it, and I had a lot of desperation because we couldn't afford pre-made horses. And so my whole life, I've done a lot of breaking in, I've done a lot of re-breaking. I would take horses off the track. I would take free horses from people that were about to put a bullet in them, horses that were bucking, horses that were rearing, horses that were bolting, slamming through things, attacking people, you name it, I took it. But what I didn't know is that my love for working with difficult horses that showed symptoms that people didn't like and would label them as no good. And I can't say those things on camera, what people say about their horse, but that led to me having a heart for young people. And that's really, really what my passion in life is, because what I understand is that every action, all right, that we don't like comes from a feeling. And every feeling comes from a need unmet. So when I see a horse that's rearing, okay, I don't see a problem horse. I see a horse that is acting in a way because they feel a certain way. Maybe they feel afraid. Maybe they feel uncertain, unconfident, whatever the reason is. And that comes from a need being unmet. The need to feel safe in a herd, the need to feel pain-free, all of those types of things. So when we have young people coming through, and I see someone who is cutting themselves, and that's very, very common, or with eating disorders, or with behavioral problems, I just see that as an outlet. That's not the cause, because I know that that comes from a feeling. It comes from a feeling maybe of worthlessness. It comes from a feeling of pain. It comes from a feeling of rejection. It comes from a feeling of fear. It comes from a feeling, there's so many different feelings that these actions stem from, and that comes from a deep-seated need inside us. Whether that is healthy or unhealthy is another story, and that's for another talk, but it comes from a need. And maybe that's a need to be loved unconditionally by both our parents. Maybe that's a need to have a safe home to be in. Maybe that's a need to just to be accepted for who we are. All right, so horses really led to my passion, and I didn't actually discover that until I was, gosh, I've got to think now, maybe like 24 or 25. I just turned 31. So then I started really on a different journey about not competing anymore, and not so much with the horses, but using what I was gifted with, which was free riding and understanding animals and training and helping put things into simple terms for people to understand and then go and do themselves. Using that as a platform, especially with Goldrush, to actually get through to my real purpose, which is impacting young people. And there are so many correlations between horse training and youth work. And really, it doesn't matter if you're a young person or you're an adult. We all have a lot of undealt with stuff. We all have a lot of baggage from yesterday. And my whole thing is, yesterday is heavy. You need to put it down. Yeah, so again, a big part of what I do is helping youth heal from their past, helping them to discover their future and their passion and their dreams and what they're good at, because I believe that when we can join our work environment with what we're passionate about, with actually helping people, all right? Because when we help people, I tell you what, it just feeds so much joy into our heart. It feeds positivity, and it feeds a lot of really good things, self-worth and all the rest of it. And I believe that we're actually blessed to be a blessing. We are here to help people, and I do believe that our gifts are not for ourselves. I believe they're to be given away. So that's really what my heart is. So if you're struggling yourself with not knowing what you want to do in life, and it makes you feel like a failure, or that you're stupid, or that you should just give up now, can I encourage you, there are seeds inside of you that are full of promise, of dreams, of hope, of a successful, amazing future. And there are also dreams there of, seeds there of natural talent as well. And when we can combine the two together, our dreams and what we naturally find easy, because we are all overdeveloped in some areas, okay, naturally, it means we find them easy, and underdeveloped in others. And when we can find our natural strengths, and when we can find the things that naturally set our heart on fire, and that stir our spirit to want to help and want to be creative and want to be successful, I tell you what, you're going to be able to live a life on purpose. That's the beginning of it. Okay, there's a big journey involved, but now you've got your car keys. Now you can at least go to your car and get in the door, and you can sit in the driver's seat and you can turn it on. And we're going to be talking a lot later on how we're going to actually get that vehicle to move. How can we bring our dreams to fruition? How do we get from being parked in the driveway to on that motorway from one end of the country to the other end of the country, and to enjoy the beautiful journey on the way, the mountains and the valleys and the rivers and the streams and the deserts and the lush green grass everywhere. That's America in a nutshell. I love this country. So guys, what we're going to do right now is we're going to have a quick session off camera. I want these young girls, and they are 14 to 17, to write down 20 different things that they can try. And here's the thing, you've got to want it, because most people say that they want it. Like, I really want to know what I'm going to be great at. I really want a great future. I would do anything to have your life, Alycia. But my question is, do you really want it? Are you in love with having a successful future and to live a life on purpose? Because if you're in love with it, you'll get through the difficult moments and you'll do the work necessary to make it happen. But if you're just in love with the idea about it, all you're going to do is talk about it. It'll be too hard. You will find every excuse under the sun of why you can't do it. And you'll quit, and you'll spend your whole life settling for a life of average. And I don't know about you, but I'm very aware that this life is very short. And I want to know that when I get to the end of my life, that I used it on purpose. Not only that I used what I was naturally blessed with by God, with what was planted inside of me as a seed. See, whether or not we pull that seed out and plant it is entirely up to us. It's no one else's responsibility. But we've got to find that seed, and that can be difficult. And we have to go looking to find it in all the randomest little places. And I tell you what, one day you're going to open up the weirdest thing. All right, you're going to try the weirdest thing, and you're going to go, wow, that felt great. That right there, getting on that dirt bike, getting out on that farm, working with those cows, milking. I've got a friend that just started working with goats, okay? And it's going to strangely just fill you with joy and passion and excitement. And you're going to feel that running through your blood. It's like it's in your blood. And once we find that seed, we've got to plant it in the ground. And when we plant it in the ground, Okay, this is time, it is effort, it is improving our skill set and learning as much as we possibly can. We've got to water it. We've got to keep it sheltered from the storms. We've got to keep it sheltered from other people that would come in and pluck it out of the ground. And I'm going to be talking a lot about that later on in my Dreamcatcher series, about people that will try to take your dreams from you and your passions from you with their words and with their actions. People that don't believe in you, and why that actually happens as well. I'm going to talk a lot about that because it affects us, and that normally comes from the people that we love. But girls, it's your choice and it's your responsibility to go looking for that seed if you don't already know what it is. Some of you already know. In that case, that's fantastic. Now we need to move on to the next step, which is planting that seed and watering that seed and nurturing it until it actually becomes a tree that produces fruit. And that does take many years. It won't happen instantly. So don't ever get encouraged that you've planted that seed, that you've tried that job, that you've tried to learn something new, and it didn't happen overnight, okay? Especially when you're self-employed. It's going to take years of nurturing that dream and that talent and that passion, day after day after day after day, through sunny times, it's when life is easy, through unexpected storms that might come your way. That's when life is hard. It could be friends being difficult. Maybe it's no friends. Maybe it's a move in the family. Maybe it's difficulty in finances. Maybe it's motivation. Maybe it's a mental health issue. Maybe it's a physical issue. But mark my words, unexpected storms will come. And you still have to protect and nurture that dream, all right? But I can promise you that success belongs to the relentless and the patient. And relentless is a word that I am in love with. Same with desperation, because when we're desperate, when you're desperate for a life filled with purpose and meaning and to follow those dreams, all right, you're going to find another way and you're not going to stop it, no. All right, thank you so much, guys. We're going to get into that. I want 20 different things. And then we're going to think about how could I, with the age that I'm at and what I want to look at with my career, whether it's going to university, getting into an apprenticeship, taking a gap year and going and experiencing life, how am I going to break that up? What do I want to try first? What do I want to try least? Where could I go and look? Because once we've found that, then we're going to actually write down the different businesses that we're going to go and ask. So, okay, I know there's an event center down the road. They have horse trials on all the time. They run weddings. I know there's a photographer who's amazing that I look up to. I'm going to contact them. I'm going to go there and talk to your parents about it. If you're reliant on them taking you, don't just say, hey, Mom, can you take me down the road? Okay, unless you've got a mom that will just say yes on that. Sit down and tell them what you want to do. They're going to be so proud of your initiative and that you're actually taking your future into your own hands. And guess what? Hopefully, and because not every parent is going to do this, sadly, and I wish they would, hopefully they get in and they help brainstorm with you and they help give you some ideas and they're going to support you. And you know what? Maybe you'll find out that they had 20 jobs growing up, all right? I've worked in the insurance industry. I've scooped ice creams. I've filled grocery shelves. I've worked at horse venues. I've done braking, re-braking lessons. I worked for telecommunications companies, and a lot of those places I didn't like being in. I was in the banking industry for years. But again, like running my own business now, that was just setting me up for where I am now. Because I know how to do so many things that if I hadn't have experienced those jobs, I wouldn't have the skill set right now to be doing what I'm doing. All right, let's go. Thanks so much for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel where I will be regularly uploading answers to your questions. I'd love to hear from you. So if you do have a question or a comment, please put it in the comments box below. I am available worldwide for speaking events, running camps, and giving horse lessons, as well as regularly running events throughout the USA and Australia. Check out my website for current events coming up, and don't be afraid to get in touch if you want to host an event in your area. If you're in a financial position, either personally or with your business, where you can help sponsor a teenager or young adult to come through on my 3 to 7 day live-in mentor program, please get in touch with me now, Alycia at freeridingnz.com. These are young people that otherwise would not have the opportunity to be able to come to my events for various background reasons. Together, we can help shape lives and give opportunities to those that otherwise would not be able to come. Every year I give away a lot of free spaces to my events, but I'm limited. I'm only one person. Together, in partnership, we can help see more young people's lives transformed, helping them to heal from their past, discover their passion and their dreams, and teach them how to go and live a life on purpose. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I'll see you next time.